Today is September 27, 2015. This is going to be a short video on the Agenda 2030 document. I actually wasn't going to make this video, and I wasn't even sure if I'd really go through the document or not. But I happened to find the document and was going through it, and something really jumped out at me that caused me to do some further research. And because of that one thing, I am doing this video, and because of that one thing, I actually read through about 40% of the total document. I skimmed about 80% of it, so I'm giving a disclaimer that I did not read everything, and there are some things that I did go over that I'm not going to cover in the video, because I don't want this to be a 45-minute long video, and I want to just cover the main points of the things that I find to be important. And this is the actual document from the UN, and as you can see, this is a very recent date from about the last 6 weeks or so, so this is hot off the presses. We are going to scroll down to page 2, and under people it says, "We are determined to end poverty and hunger in all their forms and dimensions, and to ensure that all human beings can fulfill their potential in dignity and equality and in a healthy environment." Now, if you go through this whole document, you will notice that one of the central themes is the elimination of poverty worldwide. Now, in the last 3 or 4 days, I have had a major revelation, and I am going to ask a question that I do not think anybody else in the world has asked in regards to the UN, and it should change the way you think about the UN, because it shows they are being dishonest in what they are claiming they are promoting. So the question is, what is the UN constantly pushing? They are constantly telling us that climate change is a worldwide threat, and the reason for it is because there are too many people. It is very obvious that their agenda of sustainability is about having people use less of everything because they say the resources are finite, so naturally they don't want too many people using these resources. So if they are saying there are too many people and that's the cause of global warming and we have to fight global warming, then it's very obvious they want to reduce people. So if all that is true and they want to reduce people, then why are they trying to eradicate poverty, hunger, and disease when all that's going to do is make people live longer and is going to end premature death? You cannot say there are too many people and we have to do something about it, but then also say we're going to raise everyone's living standard so they live longer. It doesn't make any sense. So it is my hypothesis that when they say eradicate poverty, they are essentially saying eradicate the third world, and what they are going to do is they are going to have a mass migration of people from the third world into the first world, and those who are left behind will be exterminated. That's the only thing that makes sense, because they say there are too many people. But then they say they want to end poverty, which will increase the population. So I think end poverty is just code for kill off massive numbers of the population. So moving on to page 4, it says our vision. This is their vision. We are constantly told in the local meetings that it is the community's vision to do all these things. No, it is not. It is the UN's vision, and it even says it is a transformational vision, which means they want total transformation of our society.
This is dictated by your wishes and your commands. This is not dictated by the state. This is not dictated by any sort of legislative action coming from the top. It's a community's vision.
So moving down to page 7, number 21. The new goals and targets will come into effect on January 1st, 2016, and will guide the decisions we take over the next 15 years. So they are telling you that this is going into place right away. Number 24. We are committed to ending poverty in all its forms and dimensions, including by eradicating extreme poverty by 2030. So here it is again. Every time the world tries to reduce poverty, poverty only gets worse. So what is it that they are going to do that they are going to end all poverty in the next 15 years? I really do believe that they say ending poverty is really just them saying we're going to kill everybody, because if everybody's dead, then you have no poverty. Page 8, number 26. To promote physical and mental health and well-being, and to extend life expectancy for all. So why would you want to extend life expectancy if you say there are too many people and that is causing the planet to melt? It doesn't make any sense. Page 11, number 41. We recognize that each country has primary responsibility for its own economic and social development. The new agenda deals with the means required for implementation of the goals and targets. We recognize that these will include the mobilization of financial resources as well as capacity building and the transfer of environmentally sound technologies to developing countries on favorable terms. So this whole thing right here is about redistribution of wealth, and we are going to see more of that as we go through the document. So going down to page 16, number 3.6, by 2020 have the number of global deaths and injuries from road traffic accidents. And the reason why I am bringing this up is because in Los Angeles, they have an agenda called Vision Zero. And in that vision, they intend to end all traffic fatalities by the year 2035. And the way they claim they are going to do it is they are going to make the traffic so bad that the traffic moves so slow that you cannot be killed when a car runs you over. Not only that, they plan on getting cars off the road. So that's how the UN plans to eliminate deaths by injury of being hit by a car. 3.7. By 2030, ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health care services, including family planning, information and education, and the integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. In other words, worldwide Planned Parenthood. Page 17, 3B. Support the research and development of vaccines and medicines for the communicable and non-communicable diseases that primarily affect developing countries. So first they say they want to eliminate poverty. Then they say they want to increase standard of living. But here they are saying that they plan on doing a giant air raid of vaccines on the third world. This will probably happen to the people that don't escape the third world, and these are the people left over. They are telling you in their plans what they are going to do. 4.2. By 2030, ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development, care, and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary education. In other words, the children belong to the state. They want the kids as early as possible so the brainwashing can begin. Page 18, number 4B. by 2020 substantially expand globally the number of scholarships available to developing countries, in particular least developed countries, small island developing states, and African countries for enrollment in higher education. So they are saying they're going to substantially expand. That means many, many, many more people migrating into your countries. Now, this is it right here, Goal 5. This is the reason why I am making this video. Now, another one of the central themes is women. This document makes it seem like that there's a giant war on women, and we have to have world agreements to treat women better. Now, obviously, some countries do need to treat their women better, but the U.S. and Western nations do not need to get into these agreements to treat women better, and there's nothing in here about men. It's all about catering to women's needs, which is discrimination, which proves that there is a war on men and the war on women is a farce. And so here's what I saw that really stood out to me and made me say, wow. Number 5.6, ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights as agreed in accordance with the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development and the Beijing Platform for Action and the outcome documents of their review conferences. So essentially, what this means is the world model for how we are going to treat women is based off the Chinese model. What is the Chinese model? Well, number one, they have a one-child policy, and if you are a girl, you are probably going to get thrown into a dumpster. So we see how Beijing treats women, and that's going to be the world model. So I went and I looked up this Beijing document, and here's what I found. So here it is, Beijing, China, 95, Action for Equality, Development, and Peace. This is all communism. Here's their mission statement. The Platform for Action is an agenda for women's empowerment, because we know there's a lot of women's empowerment going on in China. It aims at accelerating the implementation of the Nairobi forward-looking strategies for the advancement of women and at removing all the obstacles to women's active participation in all spheres of public and private life through a full and equal share in economic, social, cultural, and political decision-making. This means that the principle of shared power and responsibility should be established between women and men at home, in the workplace, and in the wider national and international communities. Equality between women and men is a matter of human rights and a condition for social justice, and is also a necessary and fundamental prerequisite for equality, development, and peace. A transformed partnership based on equality between women and men is a condition for people-centered sustainable development. So this is all communism. And as I've said, we already know how China treats their women, and it's not good. This is going to be the world model right here. And so I found the actual document here. It's over 100 pages, and it's just all communism. It should be very alarming to you that how we are going to treat women is based off this Chinese model. We do not need the government or world bodies telling us how to treat each other. That's what the Bible is for. That's why they want to get rid of Christianity, because they don't want the Bible dictating how we treat each other. They only want the government telling us how to treat each other. So moving on, back to the UN document. So we are on page 20, goal 9. This is now starting to get more into my area of expertise. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. 9.1. Develop quality, reliable, sustainable, and resilient infrastructure, including regional and trans-border infrastructure to support economic development and human well-being with a focus on affordable and equitable access for all. And you need to be able to speak their language to know what this crap means. This is all communism. And it turns out a few weeks ago, I explained what all this meant before this document even came out. So I have noticed in San Luis Obispo that there are no buses in the downtown area. That means that this city is not fair and equitable. It is not a good communist city, even though we just passed by some communist art. So they need to redo their general plan so there can be buses everywhere, because people can't get around if there's no buses. So they need to take out this lane of the road you're seeing right here, put in a bus lane, and then you got your big bike lane. That would be a fair and equitable city, because you have a bus lane, a bike lane, and car lanes. Equality for all. Today is Labor Day, communist holiday. We will celebrate communism. Look at this big giant bike lane here. Look how stupid this is. Page 20, 9.4. By 2030, upgrade infrastructure and retrofit industries to make them sustainable. So that's about destroying the current industrialized economy and ushering in the green economy. Page 21, 10.2. By 2030, empower and promote the social, economic, and political inclusion of all, irrespective of age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status. So basically what this means here is you're going to be forced to tolerate everything that is evil, transgender, LGBT, that will be thrown in your face. And even though they claim that religion will be protected, I guarantee you Christianity will remain under attack. Moving down, 11.2, we're going to go through these quickly. By 2030, provide access to safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transport systems for all. So these are the buses and the bike lanes. Improve road safety, that's slowing down cars, notably by expanding public transport with special attention to the needs of those in vulnerable situations, women, children, persons with disabilities, and older persons. Well, setting up bike lanes and putting everyone on buses and trains is not putting special attention to the needs of those who are older or very young. 11.3. By 2030, enhance inclusive and sustainable urbanization and capacity for participatory, integrated, and sustainable human settlement planning and management in all countries. So they're actually calling it human settlement planning. You are nothing more than an animal to these people. Sustainable urbanization is big stack and pack buildings, and this whole idea of managing all countries, this urbanization, if you've ever heard of master planned communities, this is worldwide master planning. Number 12.3. By 2030, have per capita global food waste at the retail and consumer levels and reduce food losses along production and supply chains, including post-harvest losses. So they want to increase our standard of living, they say. They want to eradicate poverty, but at the same time, they want to cut food in half. So you are going to be starving in the future, and this is how they're going to kill people. They're going to starve us out. You cannot have more people. You cannot have longer life expectancy, but then cut food in half. It's completely contradictory. Number 13.2, integrate climate change measures into national policies, strategies, and planning. So if you watch my videos, California is coming to a community near you. 13.3, improve education, awareness raising, and human and institutional capacity on climate change mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction, and early warning. In other words, brainwashing people. 13A. Implement the commitment undertaken by developed country parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to a goal of mobilizing jointly $100 billion annually, this is very important, by 2020 from all sources to address the needs of developing countries in the context of meaningful mitigation actions and transparency on implementation and fully operationalize the Green Climate Fund through its capitalization as soon as possible. So they're going to mobilize your money. This is carbon taxes. This is taxing you for your breathing, and that's what this is. They want to tax you for your human activity and redistribute it to the third world. 16.3. Promote the rule of law at the national and international level and ensure equal access to justice for all. So more communism, because we know that communism is total equality, and here they are saying, promote the rule of law at an international level. Your laws will not matter. 16.9. By 2030, provide legal identity for all, including birth registration. These are worldwide birth certificates, worldwide IDs. This is the new world order. This is a one world government. So moving on down to number 17.7, promote the development, transfer, dissemination, and diffusion of environmentally sound technologies to developing countries on favorable terms, including on concessional and preferential terms as mutually agreed. So more redistribution of wealth. And then on page 28, number 60, means of implementation and the global partnership. We affirm our strong commitment to the full implementation of this new agenda, and this next part is critical. We recognize that we will not be able to achieve our ambitious goals and targets without a revitalized and enhanced global partnership and comparably ambitious means of implementation. The revitalized global partnership will facilitate an intensive global engagement Delphi meetings in support of implementation of all the goals and targets, bringing together governments, civil society, the private sector, the United Nations system, and other actors, and mobilizing all available resources. So mobilizing your resources. So what this means is they cannot do this unless you go along with it. That is why you need to get off your ass, go online, look up the name of your town, put in the word sustainable, green, general plan, anything like that, and find out what kind of meetings your town is having. Start going to the meetings, ask real questions, take a camera, upload it to YouTube, because we cannot beat this unless people know it's going on and they admit themselves that they can only do this if they have the political will. So that's as much of the document I am going to cover, but what we learned is the whole world is catered around women. It's the Chinese model for treating women. They claim they want to eradicate poverty, increase life expectancy, but at the same time, they are going to cut food in half, and they say there are too many people. This is the Agenda 2030 document, and they are admitting all over the place that this is an agenda. The emperor is running around naked. It's out in the open. There's no more denying this. So please share this video Everyone needs to know what's coming. That's all for now. Groundhog 61 signing out.